Hiya. You're right. I thought I would pop in today to do a shed cast. It's a little bit overdue, isn't it? I've been meaning to do one for, I think, is it 2 or 3 weeks now? It might even be 3. But I've just sort of somehow not had the time or not been in the right headspace, which sounds silly, but you've got to be in the zone to do these. So this is quite overdue, so I've got quite a lot to tell you, to be honest, to catch up on. The biggest thing is that today I would like to introduce you to our brand new yarns. Well, sort of one yarn but in 2 ways, I suppose. It's the tweed. Very exciting. So this is Keswick fingering and Keswick double knit. So I shall show you the fingering weight. And yes, we have tweed. Isn't that gorgeous? That's the fingering weight. And here's its, oh, did I do the same colour? Almost the same colour. The double knit version. So these yarns, they're the same fibres. They are 85% superwash merino and 15% Donegal nep, which is these little bobbly bits that you can see. Now, it's called Donegal nep. I think the name really refers to the look of it rather than the fibre. I thought it meant it would be, this is probably really stupid, but I thought it meant it would be Donegal wool. It's not. It's polyamide or polyamide. I'm not never sure how you meant to pronounce that. And it turns out there is a reason for that. It's because it doesn't take the dye, which makes sense. And also it means that the neps are nice and soft, so you can wear this next to your skin without being able to feel them. So that does make sense. So yeah, 85% merino, 15% Donegal nep. The fingering weight is actually a 2-ply yarn in terms of how it's spun, which is why it's got this high twist texture. And then the double knit is 4 plies. I don't want to say 4-ply because it's not a 4-ply thickness, but it's 4 strands twisted together. So that doesn't have the high twist look that the fingering weight one does. It's much more smooth and squishy. I hope you can get a feel for that. So yeah, I mean, where to start? That's the thing. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the stats. So they're all 100-gram skeins, and for the fingering weight, you've got 400 meters, which is 436 yards. And yeah, so the double knit again, 100 grams, 212 meters, which is 232 yards. So the double knit is a little bit shorter than most of our other double knits, but the fingering weight, that's, I mean, 400 meters to 100 grams is pretty average for fingering weight, isn't it? So they should easily substitute into patterns on that basis. So I have done loads and loads of swatching with these, so I can tell you about how they knit and crochet up. So here is the fingering weight that I had to start with, which I tested quite a while ago, and here is my lovely pile of swatches. So I'll start with the crochet ones. So I started with a 2.5mm hook, and these are UK treble stitches. I'm not sure what the US equivalent is. But the point being that they are quite gappy anyway. If you can you see that? Oh yeah, you can see that. So sort of don't be put off by how gappy the stitch is. But you can see that's quite a nice firm fabric. I'm very happy with that, I have to say. And I found it easy to crochet with. It's quite nice and satisfying, I think, crocheting with a good firm yarn. I don't know why, I just find it really satisfying, particularly for crochet. So that's the 2.5. What have we got next? Then I tried the 3.5mm hook, and as you can see, this is softer and a bit looser, but it still has a good amount of structure. So I'd be very happy with that as sort of a shawl or garment. That's a 3. I'd probably also try, sorry, this is a 3.5, but I would also try 3. And then this, for a bit of a lacy look, you can really see through that. That's a 4.5. So that's definitely like your shawl, scarf, that kind of thing. It's much more drapey and a bit stretchy. That's really nice and soft and lovely. So that's the 4.5. You could probably go bigger actually, if it's whether or not you like the fabric. I think really that's gappy enough for me. That's as big as I would go for the crochet hook. So that's those. And then knitting, I did the same thing. I tried a 2.5 because I wanted to know how it would look in socks. And I really like this. That's a really good firm fabric. I have to say, I can't feel the neps at all, and I would happily wear that in socks. I had a bit of a nosy because obviously I'm not the only dyer who uses this base. So I had a bit of a look round to see if I could find out if people were using it for socks successfully, and it seems they are. There were loads of sock projects. So yeah, I feel quite confident in recommending this yarn for socks, and it's something that I certainly want to give a go, because I mean, it's tweed. Why wouldn't you want that on your feet? It's just lovely. I just love this. It's a really nice firm fabric, but it's very smooth and soft as well. So that's the 2.5mm needle, and then there's the 3.5, which is much more open and sort of softer and a bit more drapey. So that's the 3.5. Now 3.5 is pretty much my go-to needle size when using 4-ply or fingering weight yarn, but I think I'd be tempted to actually go down to a 3 for this one. It might just be that I blocked it really hard. So I like that for like a light summer top. That'd be really nice actually, wouldn't it? But if I wanted something a bit thicker, I think I would go for a 3. And then this is your 4.5mm needle, so that's much more open, much softer, very drapey. Definitely you kind of like your lacy shawls and that kind of thing. But I still like it. But I tend to not go for quite so gappy fabrics, just generally. So that's the swatches. So I'll just show them all together if I can. Knitting, knitting and knitting. You can really see the difference in those. And then crochet, crochet and crochet. You can see the difference again in those. Okay, so that's the 4-ply and how it looks. So I'll show you the double knit next. This is my test skein of yarn. Let's pop that down there. Okay, so again I'll go for crochet first. Oh, I only did 2 crochet ones. What did I do? Right, so yes, so I did a 3.5, which is this. I like that. That's a nice, firm, very satisfying sort of fabric. I really like that, and I found it, like I said earlier, I found it very nice and smooth and easy to crochet with. So that's a 3.5, and I really like that. And then this one is a 4.5, which again I really like. So the size that I would have tried after that would have been 5.5, but I have forgotten to, so tough. But yeah, the 4.5 works really well as well. That's nice and firm again, but starting to soften and have that bit of drape and stretch to it. So that's really nice as well. And then knitting, again, started with a 3.5, and that's a lovely, firm, close, dense fabric. Not difficult to knit with though. You know, when you're using needles that are actually too small, it hurts your hands, but this didn't. That was fine. And I like how smooth it is. It's really nice. And again, I can't really feel the neps pretty much at all. They're nice, and they don't look smooth, but they kind of are. So that's the 3.5. This is a 4.5. So again, that to me is very garmenty. Like I would use that in a cardigan or a jumper, because it's got that little bit of drape, which I like. But it's still quite a close fabric. And of course, being a 4.5mm needle, it's quicker to knit up, isn't it, than a 3.5. So that's that one. And then just for the sake of trying it, that's the 5.5. So that has loads of widthways blocking potential. I obviously didn't stretch it as far as I could. I just kind of let it do what it wanted to do. Not so much of the drop in that direction. But yeah, it's a little bit gappy for me, but I think if I was making a shawl or something, then I would go with that. It does still look lovely. So yeah, but you would you'd have to be careful how you block it out. I have to say, with blocking all of these, I tried not to overstretch them actually, but when I unpinned them, they definitely sprung back a bit. So don't be too put off by the fact that it will go whoop, because it will spring back, definitely. So that's that lot. Just have a bit of a drink. So yeah, I hope that helps you to see how it will knit and crochet, and kind of like what tension to go for and that kind of thing. I've got a few examples of things that I brought down that I think would look really nice. There's these leg warmers. If you can see that, that's a free pattern on our website. If you go into the patterns, there's a section specifically for the free ones. We've got a few. And actually these are made in Milburn double knit in Crocosmia, but I think they'd look really nice in tweed. For example, in rust. And you only need one skein to make a pair. So I think that would look really nice. Because if you're wearing leg warmers, you want it to be a nice, smooth, hard wearing yarn. And I tend to find, because I mean I do get really muddy when I'm out dog walking, so I wear leg warmers a lot. And to be honest, I've got these in Oakworth double knit and in Millburn double knit, and the mud, if you let it dry, it honestly just brushes off. So you want a hard wearing yarn, but don't be too paranoid about getting it ruined. I think it's better to sort of wear make these things, wear them, let them get muddy, brush the mud off, wash them if you need to, than to just make things and then never use them. I'd much rather wear them to destruction, to be honest. So yeah, a pair of leg warmers in the double knit would be awesome. The other thing that struck me, that just off the top of my head, that I was thinking would be really nice, is Pim's Cup. Again, this is on our website. It was part of the Drift collection in 2015, which was designed entirely for Whitfell double knit. This one is made in Millburn double knit in charcoal. However, I was thinking, wouldn't it look gorgeous in Keswick double knit in Mountain Hare, which is here. Don't you think that would look good? Because I don't think it would be too variegated to take away from the lace pattern. I think it would work really nicely, and I think I've actually talked myself into deciding that I might make one. Or you could go for a plainer colour, like Meadow Rue. That would be really nice. So that's Pim's Cup. It's on our website. What else have we got? I've got the jumper that I'm wearing, actually is in double knit. This one's made in Oakworth double knit. That pattern goes around the back. This pattern is Threads by Justina Lukowska, and it should be available on our website. If it's not, it's only because we've sold out, but I'm pretty sure that there should be some left. So yeah, this is a really nice versatile jumper, which I think would look really, really nice in the tweed. Oh, I just want to make all the things now. And in terms of the 4-ply fingering weight, I shouldn't say 4-ply, should I? Because it's not 4-ply at all, it's fingering weight. Ideas for that included socks. Oh yeah, my Collingham fingerless mittens. I couldn't find the sample that I wanted before coming out to record this, but I made a pair. They're elbow length fingerless mittens, and I made a pair in one skein of Oakworth 4-ply, with contrast coloured cuffs and hems, and that worked really, really nicely. So I think a skein of Keswick fingering in something like Black Orchid, for example, would look really, really nice as elbow length fingerless mittens. And I think it's nice to have a project in fingering weight that is sort of like, it's like socks, but it's not socks, it's just something a bit different. So that's why I do like sort of long fingerless mittens, you know, if they're to here or up to here, because it's just a bit more than a small project, but it's not as much as socks somehow, if that makes sense. So that's Collingham fingerless mittens. They're on our website too. What else? That's and this, I was going to say that's all I've written down, but actually this sprung to mind when I was looking for a shawl to put on. Of course, this is 2 colours. It's super simple. It's ridiculously long. It's about 7 feet long, this thing. This is Cornhill, and it's a pattern that I designed a few years ago, because I just wanted something super wide or long, with lots of garter stitch. It was designed to be knitted sort of like whilst on holiday, and I wanted the interest of having two colours, but I just wanted something really, really simple. To be honest, it did come out longer than I actually expected, but I like it because in the winter I can get this around my neck, I think 3 times. You know, if you really, really wrap it round, you can really snuggle up in it like so. And that's lovely in winter. I really like that. But then you have the option, obviously, as I was wearing it just earlier, if I can untangle myself, to just wear it as an accessory, just like that. So anyway, and it's 2 colours, which I think is nice. I should knit myself another one actually. I have 2, but you know, can always have more. So actually that leads me on nicely to talk about colour combinations. Let me just check my battery, if I can. No, I can't. Oh well, just have to hope for the best. Okay, colour combinations. Let's not be too slow about this then. So I have done, well, I'll start with this one because it's a seasonal special. This one is Summer Solstice, and I had a lot of fun dyeing it. So there's that, which is basically lots of pinks. And what would I put it with? There's Thunder, of course, or does it work with? Actually, oh no, that's better. Compost. I really like pink and brown. I know that not everybody does, but I do. So that's Compost. I have a very chaotic pile of yarn here. It probably doesn't look as much as it is. I'll just tilt the camera if you can see that. I'm sure it doesn't look as chaotic as it is, but a lot of the colours are hidden underneath, so I should do my best. Have I just mucked up my camera angle? There we go. So what else have we got? We have grey. Actually it's slate, so it's a greeny grey. We have charcoal. That works. I like that. Okay, I'll move away from Summer Solstice and I'll show you a few other bits. We've got a Cottage Garden, which is inspired by obviously the soft pastel flowers in a cottage garden. Not dissimilar, but not to be confused with Buttercup. Didn't realise how similar they were when I was dyeing them, but this is much more of the yellow and green, whereas this is a lot more kind of pinky, if you can see that, and it's a different shade of green. It's much more earthy green, whereas this is more leafy green, I would say. So this is Buttercup, which I absolutely love. Actually, you can't see much of the green in that one. There you go, you can see a bit more of the green in there. It's a pale green there. So not to confuse the two, I should be keeping them separate in the box so that we hopefully don't get mixed up. I mean, we check the labels, but it's still easily done. I tried to do lots of neutrals. So we've got Whispering Grass, which is a pale sandy colour. I hope you can see the colours okay because it's very dark and rainy outside, so we're in artificial light, unfortunately. So Whispering Grass, this is obviously it's not green grass that this is named for. It's named for, you know, when you get the wispy grass heads and they're this colour and they kind of swing and dance in the wind. That's what Whispering Grass is. So I've also done Bark, Charcoal, Slate, there we go, I can just about see those. Lots of pinks as well, of course. Heliotrope, hydrangea, summer solstice, which I've already mentioned, antique rose. I like those three together, they're lovely. There's bluebell. That's a lovely combination as well, isn't it? Thunder. Mill Pond. Black orchid. Oh yes. Those two together. Coppice. I've actually kind of accidentally done two murky greens. There's coppice and there's also hedgerow, but this does give me a chance to show you the difference between them. Hedgerow is a lot more sludgy and coppice is much more greeny. So those are two greens. Oh, another neutral, compost. Mountain hare, my favourite. Oh, what else have we got? Let's have a dig. I've done, oh, falling leaves. No. Barn door. That's that lovely blend of neutrals. Oh, it's gorgeous with the tweed. Just love it. I love the way that with the tweed, if you know, with the dark colours, you can really see the pale coloured neps. And then with the, of course, with the light colours, you can really see the dark ones. So like, if you put those together, I just love that. And as a dyer, it adds a lot of extra dimension to my work and to my creativity, because when I'm dyeing this, I'm constantly thinking, well, how will this colour interact with the colour of the neps? Because obviously they're not going to take the dye. So it really does add more depth to the thought process, I would say. So I hope that helps. This honestly, this is a much bigger pile than it looks. And everything's buried. I could do with a better system. So a few two colour combinations, just as an example. If you're going to knit this, antique rose and compost, that's that whole pink and brown thing that I was talking about. Mountain hare with barn door. I mean, come on. No? Yes? That's a big yes from me, I have to say. What would we put falling leaves with? Let's have a look. We could put it with slate. I'll tell you what I wouldn't put it with, bark. Now, oh actually, no, maybe I would actually. Because I thought the bark was going to be too pinky for the falling leaves, but actually it's not, is it? Because it's quite greyish, which is good. That's a good thing. I would actually put those together. But then how does compost come in? So you could do falling leaves and compost, but if you want a higher contrast, you would maybe go bark and compost, but then you don't get the warmth of the falling leaves. I'll tell you what you could, falling leaves with whispering grass for some warmth. Ooh. Let's take a look at slate. So you could use slate with charcoal for a bit of a monochrome kind of feel, which I think would be really, really lovely. Or No, I'm not sure about that. I think they're too close. Sort of neutrals thing going on. I think that'd be really nice, but it's obviously not as high contrast. Slate and Thunder, that works. Oh yes, that works. Slate and Whispering Grass, that's really nice. And then you could do Whispering Grass with Black Orchid. You could do Mill Pond and Bark. I don't know whether I'm making this worse or not with my grey jumper in the background. You could do Bluebell. Ooh, Bluebell with Cottage Garden. What else do we have? Buttercup with, oh now which of these greens? So that's it with Coppice. And that's it with Hedgerow. Look how that changes the way that these colours are picked out. This one picks out much more of the yellow. So that's interesting. Is there anything I'm not really covered? Hydrangea. Well, obviously you've got Hydrangea with Heliotrope. That's lovely. Or Heliotrope with Antique Rose for more contrast. Or Hydrangea with Charcoal. Or, ooh, that's pretty. Hydrangea with Whispering Grass. So yeah, there's a lot to go on here, and that's just the fingering weight. We've also got the 4-ply, double knit. What am I talking about, honestly? So double knit. The ones from behind me are Rust. Is that Rust? Yeah, of course it is. Mountain Hare and Barn Door. I mean, I like those three together. I've plunked them there. We've got Meadow Rue. Coppice again. I seem to have done a lot of Coppice. No reason, it just happens to be. This is a Cottage Original. Cottage Original batches are basically one-off or one-of-a-kind, as you will see abbreviated, batches, where they tend to be things where I've done them as an experiment, and I don't know if I will ever repeat them, or I'm working on the recipe and haven't quite worked out how I want it to look, or just anything like that. So it may or may not ever be repeated, is the point. So that's sort of dusky grape with a bit of sandy colour to it, but there are also bits of blue in it as well. So yeah, it's really pretty, so I might make this again. We've got Hyssop and Rockpool. And Rockpool is sort of this blend of dark blue and dark brown with a bit of cream showing through. Hyssop is an ECY classic, of course. Basically a very soft teal, or you might maybe say it's a sort of bluey greeny grey, just to be technical. And then we have Rambling Rose and Stone, again 2 ECY classics, and look how gorgeous they are together. So I won't go into loads and loads of colour combinations, but just a couple. So I've said Stone and Rambling Rose. I've said Rust, Mountain Hare and Barn Door. But how about, no, right, so look how, that's not quite the right pink for that green, is it? But look how different it looks with Hydrangea. The warmth of the Hydrangea goes better with the green. As pinks go. You could do Hyssop, let's see if this works, with Mountain Hare. Yes, I think that works. Sort of teal and brown basically, isn't it? It's a bit of a classic combination. You could do, I said Barn Door, but what about, you could for a subtle combination go Barn Door and Rockpool, or you could go Barn Door, Rockpool and then Hyssop maybe, or Stone, Barn Door, Rockpool, Hyssop, or Cottage Original. What does that want to go with? I feel like I should have dyed more of the double knit. You'll have to tell me whether you think I should have done or not. But I kind of already think that maybe I should. So Cottage Original with, oh, that works beautifully, Hyssop. It's the purple with the teal, isn't it? It contrasts really nicely. Or actually I think that would be really nice with Barn Door again, because it picks out the brown in it. So yeah, there we go. That's a whole load of suggestions for you, and I hope that's helped. I'll just check my notes. So I've got my notes. What would you use it for? We've covered that, haven't we? Basically, they're both really versatile yarns, and I would say you can use them for pretty much anything. They're clearly hard wearing. They're soft and smooth, so they're good for next to skin wear. There isn't really any kind of fuzz or anything to them. The neps, certainly in terms of knitting and crocheting, the neps didn't interfere. You know, I thought they might get caught on like my crochet hook or my knitting needles, and they didn't particularly. They kind of just, they blend in really nicely. So I'm even more pleased with this yarn, well, these yarns, I think, than I expected to be. And yeah, it's just been an absolute joy to knit with, to dye all of it. It's just been lovely. So other news, we've got so much other stuff like going on and in progress and stuff like that. So I've got a few other bits to tell you about, which we've like updated or refreshed recently. First thing is Yarnling jars are back in stock, as I got a new delivery of them. You get 15 yarnlings in a jar. Each one is 5 grams of 4-ply / fingering weight. So similar yardage per yarnling. And it's a lucky dip, so it's completely random colours, but we do try to mix them up. And these are really good for small amounts of colour work, small bits of stripes, mitered squares, that kind of thing, granny squares, anything like that, anything where you need a small amount. These are good for that. And obviously they do make really nice gifts, and you know, I would hope that you're going to be reusing this jar and not chucking it away. That would be very disappointing. So that's why I've gone for the plastic jars. Obviously I could have gone for glass ones, but the whole thing of posting glass jars out is really not ideal. So this is one area of plastic that we do actually have. So yeah, you'll find those on the website. I think we have a dedicated section just for yarnlings. because you will also find the Colourpop cowl kits in stock in that section as well. I genuinely do just happen to have this in here. Actually, it lives in here as a display item because it's just too pretty to fold up and put away when I'm not wearing it. So Colourpop cowl kits are on the website as well, in the yarning section. Still on the subject of yarnlings, we have relisted the double knit yarnlings. So these ones, this is the 5 yarnling Lucky Dip, which we also do a 4-ply version of. They come in these glassine bags, which is basically like an almost see-through paper. It's quite cool. I really like this stuff. So it's ever so slightly see-through. And the double knit yarnlings, they are 10 grams compared to the 5 gram ones that are 4-ply. So in this one we have 5 10-gram yarnlings, which don't all fit in my hand, and they just simply come like this. Obviously we sort of fold the top over and put a sticker on, and we'll put that in a paper bag for you. So that's the double knit yarnlings. Now, what would you make with those? Again, anything that needs a small amount of colour work or a stripe or anything like that. So maybe you're making a hat and you just want a contrast colour to go in, a few stripes on you know, in the crown or anything like that. One thing that I made with yarnlings, double knit yarnlings, is this. Oh, have I just shown you the back? Let's show you the front. I think that's the front. It's hard to tell. Anyway, this I think was my first proper brioche project, other than like just swatches, and it's dead squishy. Look at that. Can you hear that squish? It's very satisfying. Anyway, so this pattern is Syncopation Adoration by Stephen West, and I believe that all of his patterns are available on his own independent website, so hopefully you should be able to find that, and we can put a link in the comments. This one is made, and this is another good segue here, this one is made with the double knit yarnlings in the stripes, but the main colour is Whitfeld double knit in ebony. Now, Whitfeld double knit, which is 100% baby alpaca, is discontinued, and ebony is the final colour that we have left. Sorry, I've got fibre in my nose. It's the final colour that we have left, and once it's sold, that's it. Okay, so oh no, actually we have natural as well, but ebony is the final dyed colour that we have left. It's on sale, and we do like 500 gram packs of it, and obviously it goes with a lot of other colours. Brown, as I have mentioned before, is quite hard to sell. Well, it can be very hit and miss, actually. I wouldn't necessarily say hard to sell, but hit and miss. But I really like it because it goes with so many other colours, and it's got that warmth to it that you don't have so much with greys. So I love brown as a kind of neutral colour. So anyway, Whitfeld double knit in ebony, on sale. Double knit yarnlings, also available on the website. So that's that. That's a really, I mean, you can see how tactile it is, can't you? Because I'm just like, I can't stop squidging it and messing about with it. And that's a really nice cozy cowl. Love it. And whew, I'm hot now. I'm wearing so much knitwear. So that's that. What else do we have? Yarnlings. Oh, I'll tell you what else I really want to do with double knit yarnlings is make an Embleton cowl. I'll come back to that actually, because that's part of the next section that I want to do. I'll just stick with things that are new on the website or updated on the website. Another thing that we've done is we've updated the Milburn double knit blanket packs. Now we do blanket packs in Milburn double knit and Milburn 4-ply, and it's basically just one ball of each colour. Now with the Milburn double knit, we currently don't have Althea because just basically supplies have been affected by the pandemic, and so Althea unfortunately is going to be out of stock, I think, until October. So we don't have that, but we do have the new colours of Crocosmia and Compost. So we've updated the blanket pack to reflect the fact that there's 19 colours instead of 20, and to reflect the fact that Compost and Crocosmia are replacing Dogwood and Autumn Fields. That's the double knit one. The 4-ply one, there is still stock of all of the colours, so that's still a 20 colour pack with Dogwood and Autumn Fields in. But once the Dogwood runs out, that'll be replaced with Crocosmia. Once Autumn Fields runs out, that'll be replaced with Compost. But for now, the 4-ply ones are the original ones. So those are Milburn blanket packs, and they are in the yarn packs section on the website. This segues nicely into the next thing that I wanted to mention, which is that we have also updated the yarn packs. I don't, if you've known us for a while, you might remember that we did yarn packs for the, when you get the multi-skein projects where you need like 5 skeins of 4-ply in all different colours. I think there were a couple of big patterns, weren't there, that really kicked it all off, which gives me a lovely excuse to show off my beautiful Starting Point shawl. I don't get much chance to show this thing off, so I have to take every opportunity. But this is Starting Point by Joji Locatelli, and it kind of was one of the patterns that kicked off this whole thing of like making massive, I mean, look how big this thing is. It's more of a blanket really, isn't it? Like a lap blanket that I would take in the car with me. I so enjoyed making this. This is, I don't even know if it's 6 or 5 colours. But either way, the point is, when this pattern came out, we made loads of packs up for it. They're kind of gradually all sold out, or like where it's been Milburn, we still technically have them, but the photos have got really kind of old, and I was just like, I really need to take new photos of those. So I have re-photographed the Milburn yarn packs, and we've made them non-specific for the patterns. They're not for any particular pattern. This is just an example. So the Milburn ones are freshly photographed and looking very beautiful, and I've added a couple of new colour options as well because of the new colourways. As I mentioned earlier, Crocosmia, I hope you can see that's actually really zingy. It doesn't look like it is on my phone, but it's lovely and